Welcome to Wannabe Clutter Free, formerly Wannabe Minimalist, the podcast for busy families who are tired of the chaos, fed up with being overwhelmed, and ready to enjoy life again. Each week, we talk about how to let go of the clutter so that you can focus on the things that actually matter. And it's not just physical clutter. We talk about the mental and emotional stuff too, because if it's holding you back, it's time to ditch it. I share what I've done in my own life to declutter, organize, and calm the chaos, but you won't just hear it from me. There are amazing guests too. It's practical, doable, and simple for those of us that want to be clutter-free. Hey, my friends, welcome back to the show. My name is Deanna Yates, and you are listening to episode 230 of the Wannabe Clutter-Free podcast. On today's episode, we are going to talk about the holiday season. It is such a busy time of year, especially for us moms, where there's so much to do and so many different activities to keep track of. So I want us to lay the groundwork, create a plan, and make sure that we're not getting overwhelmed this holiday season so that we can focus on what really matters to us and to our families. But before we get started, I want to take just a second to say thank you so much to you for joining me on the show this week. I really appreciate you taking the time and energy to get here, and I will do what I can so that you have something tangible that you can take with you and implement into your life right away after today's episode. And can you just help me out real quick and take a second and subscribe to the episode wherever you are listening to this podcast? It really helps me out. If you want to leave it a rating and a review, that would also be awesome. And share it with a friend if you think they might need help this holiday season as well. All right, let's get into it. There's lots of fun things to talk about today, and I don't want to waste your time. So the first thing I want us to talk about as we get into today's episode is to start from a place of intention. Now, we have just finished up Halloween, and it is early November when this episode will come out. So I want us to, before we just dive right into the end of the year holidays, I want us to pause. And I'm in the US, so we celebrate Thanksgiving at the end of November, and I love this time of year. I think it is so wonderful to take a moment of gratitude and appreciation and thanks for everything we have. Looking back on the year, appreciating the things that have happened, looking back at how we've grown over the year is also some way we can be appreciative of the journey that we've been on. So I want us to take that moment and pause and set the intention. How has this year been? Take a moment of reflection. I've seen funny reels and things on Instagram where women are sweeping out the Halloween decor and they pop on their Christmas sweater right away and they're already putting up their Christmas trees. They're missing my favorite holiday in the middle, which is Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday because it's kind of like Christmas without the presents. You get a moment to get together with your family, your friends, your loved ones, the special people in your life, and share a meal together. Create just this moment of joy and thanksgiving and appreciation and gratitude for everything you have in your life. And I think it's really sad if we rush right from Halloween to Christmas. So please, this year, I would like to encourage you to take a moment and reflect and rejoice and just appreciate everything that you have and everything that this season can bring right now. There's kind of a little lull. For me, the weather's cooler. I live in San Diego, so we don't get a huge seasonal shift. It does get cooler, but we just had daylight savings time end. I think that's what it is. It ends in the fall, so we just fell back for time, and so now it gets darker earlier, and it allows us to have this moment of maybe more coziness than we've had, right? It now really feels like the summer and all of that is kind of behind us. We've had the baseball season has just ended, right? So that's a very summer sport in my mind, and it's nice to then go, okay, we're in this new season. We've only got a couple weeks. It's only a couple weeks really before the hustle and bustle of the Christmas season, of the gift-giving season at the end of the year really kicks in to play. So let's give thanks and appreciation, gratitude for everything we have, and then we can go into the holiday season with a more clear mind and a little bit more open heart. All right? Okay, so that's my wish for you as we head into this episode. So let's dive into it. All right, the first segment is going to be setting our intentions and looking at decluttering before all of these new gifts come in and what that means for whether we're hosting or whether we're going somewhere else. What does this mean for our homes? We're at the start of the holiday season right now, and I know that it can feel overwhelming. because there's so many things we quote unquote should be doing. And so what helps me is looking at it from this perspective. I have what I call my clutter freedom method. And what I have found is so interesting is that these steps can really work for any room, any task, in any situation when I feel like things are too much. And so when I feel like I'm being overwhelmed and clutter, whether that is physical, mental, or emotional, is coming into play, I put these 3 steps into place. And so the steps in the clutter freedom method are to decide, oust, and manage. This first step is to decide. This is where we set our intentions. I want you to take a second and ask yourself, what do I want this holiday season to feel like? For me, for my family, in my home, what do I want it to feel like this year for us? Not what Pinterest or social media says it should look like, but what feels right for you and your family. Maybe this is the year for cozy, right? Maybe you want more cozy nights in. Maybe you want more time for yourself. Maybe you want to create some calm. Maybe you want to create a welcoming, calming environment in your home. Maybe it's a year that you are ready to get back out there. Maybe you've kind of been calm for a while and you're like, you know what? This year I want to ramp up my social calendar. That is totally fine too. There is no right or wrong here. It's only what feels right for you and what will make you and your family feel better and more connected and just happier this season, really. So I don't want you to think like, okay, I have to go and do all of things, or I have to completely do the other side and be really calm and peaceful and not do anything. There is a happy medium there, and that's kind of where I fall. And so I want you to find the things that are really meaningful and put your effort into those. And then if there's something out there that even if you've always done it, if you ask your family and you say, hey, should we do this year? And you get more no's than yeses, then maybe that's something you can pull off of your calendar for this year and give your family a little more breathing room. You can always add it back in. That's the wonderful thing. None of these decisions have to be permanent. We can try it for this year and see if it works. And if it does, fantastic, lean into it and do it again. If it doesn't, go back to what you did before. Or if you decide like, okay, normally we go, let's say, like for us, we can go ice skating down on the beach in Coronado. We did that last year. It was super fun. We probably went a little late last year. I probably will go earlier this year, right? So it wasn't quite like we hadn't done it before. It was fun. I'd love to do it again, but I need to make some changes because by the time we went, it was a little crowded and a little busy. So I need to go earlier in the season, which means I need to put it on my calendar a little bit earlier so that we can do these things that we want to do and it doesn't get so overwhelming. So back to setting intention. I want you to brainstorm. What are the things that you do regularly? What are the traditions that you've always done? And I want you to just do a quick brain dump. Write down everything that's possible, everything that you've been invited to in the past or you think you'll be invited to this year, the things that you want to do on your list, the things your kids want to do. Talk to your family, talk to your partner, talk to your kids. Ask them, what do you want to do this holiday season, right? Have this moment of just writing it all down, no judgments. This is just brainstorming, right? We want to know everything that's possible. And then from there, I want you each to pick your top one, right? If they're the same, fantastic. Well, then maybe you can pick another one. But if there's 6 people in your family, 6 things to do in the holiday season, that could be enough, right? That could be a lot. And so looking at this list and see what feels right for you. Maybe it's one night where you get hot chocolate and you go drive around and you look at lights. Maybe that's someone's favorite thing to do. Maybe someone else's favorite thing to do is to cuddle up on the couch and watch a specific movie. Maybe someone else's favorite thing is to go build a snowman. Maybe somebody else likes to go pick out the Christmas tree. So however you do these things, whatever those things are on your list, come to a decision and be intentional about the ones you will do. Maybe you will find out that nobody, in fact, likes going to the tree lighting ceremony that you've gone to for the last 5 years, and it's not on anybody's top list. Well, there's a whole night you can get back and doing something that feels more meaningful to your family. Okay? So that's step number 1 is to be intentional. So figure out the things that are possible, be intentional about the ones you pick, and then put them on your calendar so you know when they are. If you need to, one of the things I will do as well is I will put a reminder on my calendar to tell myself way ahead of time. I will give myself a week reminder that says, hey, next Friday, you're going to this thing. And so it's really helpful to me because sometimes I will have a weekend where I'm like, I'm really tired and I don't want to go do anything. And I'm like, okay, great. You know what? I can be a cozy bug in a rug in my house this night because I know next week I have something planned. So this is a good night for me to be cozy because I don't have anything on the schedule. And it reminds me next week I've got something coming up. So maybe I take that time to be quiet and, be at home. All right, so hopefully that makes sense with intention. Obviously, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. You can catch me on Instagram or Facebook. I'm at Wannabe Clutter Free on both of those channels. And we have a private Facebook group as well, so you can come over and connect with me there. It's the Wannabe Minimalist Family Group on Facebook. Okay, so that was just step number one. Now let's talk about decluttering, because I think this one can really be helpful too before we get a huge onslaught of gifts. Like if you have a family that gives a lot of gifts, you're really going to want to start to declutter. So now there's a few different ways that we can do this, right? We can help our kids with decluttering their toys. I'm going to give us a couple examples and some really fun ways to do that in just a minute. But before we get there, let's look at the areas that we really should focus on, because this is a busy time of year. I would really like to discourage us from trying to declutter the entire house. I want us to focus on very specific areas. If you are hosting, let's focus on the areas that are going to be the most used. So maybe you have a guest room that's become a little bit of a dumping ground, but you're going to have some family members come over and stay. Well, that's going to be priority number one to get decluttered and organized. Maybe your guest room is fine, but you have a guest bathroom that needs a little tidying up, or your living room is going to be used a lot, or your kitchen, which is going to get a ton of use when you're cooking and baking and all of these kinds of things, could use a little bit of a refresh. So figure out what you have planned, right? We go back to the intention. What are we doing? Then from there, we can make better decisions, right? So that first one is decide. Deciding is our intention. Deciding is putting our stake in the ground and saying, this is what I want to do. I'm going to be intentional about this. And then we get to the second step, which is decluttering and what we call ousting. So ousting is when we can look back on the decisions we made in step one and say, okay, I can let go of these things because they do not align with the decision I have already made, right? Clutter is unmade decisions, and we often find ourselves in trouble because we get tired of making decisions throughout the day. We get this decision fatigue. But I have found if we can make this decision one time and decide once, it makes it so much easier to figure out what to let go of when we really believe wholeheartedly in the intention and the decision we just made in step one. All right. So now that we know where in our adult lives we want to declutter and make things a little bit easier for ourselves, let's talk about the kids stuff, because you absolutely should get your kids involved and we should look through their things. Kids grow obviously very quickly. Their tastes are going to change. What they, want to keep and what they play with, what they use, what they wear changes because they're constantly growing. And so it's really helpful, at least so we declutter twice a year in our house, like bigger declutters. We'll do like smaller things as they come up throughout the year, but we make sure that we go through our daughter's things twice a year, once right before Christmas and then once in the summer after school gets let out, because that's also her birthday. So she has a summer birthday, so it allows us to then get rid of things before she gets new gifts. We're lucky. So it's kind of every 6 months we get to do these big declutters. But Christmas is a great time, right? Or Hanukkah. I think they start on the same day this year, so that's kind of fun. But what's so great about that is you make room for the kids, right? You allow them to say, hey, you know what? I don't play with that anymore. We can work in a charitable offer with this too, right? We can give back to kids that don't have as much. We can, make it a little bit easier that way. And actually, I heard this one really cool thing. So if your kids are listening to this, they might want to know this too. I heard that Santa will take toys that you put under the tree on Christmas Eve, and they will take them back to the North Pole, and the elves will work on them over the year, and then they can be redistributed out as new toys to boys and girls the next year. So if Santa comes to your house, well, fantastic, because Santa can just take these toys for you on Christmas Eve. You put them right under the tree, and then he'll take the toys away and bring you new toys. So that's super cool. So if you have kids listening to this, make sure you share that story with them, and it helps them know that the toys that they declutter will go to other kids, and it'll help spread that Christmas cheer. All right. And then another thing too, I also heard about the elf on the shelf, and he can do this too. So if you found yourself with an elf on the shelf, if you were lucky enough to get one of those in your house, well, the elf also will sometimes help you that way too, because I've heard that they will also take toys back with them every night when they go back to visit Santa. So the thing I saw was that sometimes the elf will bring a bag of bows, and every night then your child can put a bow on a toy that they no longer play with, a book they no longer read, or clothes they no longer wear. And the elf will take that back to the North Pole as well, where the elves can work on refurbishing those things and getting them back out to other kids that need and want toys for Christmas. All right, so there's a couple examples for how you can help your kids declutter this holiday season that will work for lots of different families. So just a little helpful reminder there. Hopefully, if you listen to this with your kids, they got a kick out of that, and you were able to as well. All right. And so this way, by the time Christmas rolls around or the end of the year rolls around, you will have a little bit more room for some new toys and new things in your house. And then also understand that we don't have to go overboard on toys. Not everything on the list may get purchased, right? And that's okay. These are good learning lessons for kids as they come up as well. And then I also want to remind you of the gift method for kids that talks about giving them one thing they want, one thing they need, one thing to wear, and one thing to read. Because in our house, our daughter also gets a lot of toys from her family, from family members, grandparents, aunts, cousins. So there's lots of different toys that she gets, different clothing and all sorts of stuff like that. So we don't feel as a family that we have to go super overboard for her either. So we keep our gift giving more to experiences and things we do as a family. And then these more physical kind of gifts come from our family. Okay, so hopefully that helps keep things down this Christmas when I know it can be an onslaught of new things. The next thing I want to talk to you about is the manage portion. So that is the third step in the clutter freedom method. And so we have our decide, our oust, and now we get to manage. And manage is setting up systems, it's organizing, it's time management, it's things like this that can really help make or break this holiday season for you. So now that we've talked about decluttering and we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about organizing. Now, we all know the holiday magic can turn to holiday madness really quickly if things aren't in place. So let's talk about a few areas that can be real lifesavers if we can get them organized early. So first, we kind of talked about this when we were decluttering. There are high traffic spots, right? Think about our kitchen counters, our entryways, the dining area. These are the areas that everyone sees and everyone uses. So by keeping them clean and tidy, it really can help streamline everything as we go throughout our day. There's less to keep up, there's less to clean up, and so there's more enjoyment. So one tip that I want you to do, and that I recommend actually any time of year, but right now with the holiday season, it's more important because we don't want to spend time having to look for things. So I want you to have a drop zone right when you come in the door. This is going to be where you put your keys, your shoes, your mail, any little trinkets that you pick up throughout the day. We just have one area where we put these things, and it makes it nice and easy when we come in the door because we know where to look when we leave the next day. Oftentimes, the things you leave the house with aren't the things you need when you're actually in your home. So having one place to keep them will really help as you're dealing with all of the holiday craziness. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to set up a holiday command center. This could be a paper calendar, it could be a big wall chart, it could be an app, it could be a skylight calendar. Like if you're watching this on YouTube, I have one behind me. And what happens here is it's just one place. It is one central location where everything is tracked. Every appointment, every party, every gift you need to give, everything can be on this one holiday command center. And it will help you so much because nothing will get lost. It won't be in 9 different places. You can check one place and keep it all streamlined. Next, I want you to set up an area for wrapping. So I want you to declutter your old wrapping paper. If you have a few scraps or old bows, things that you just know you're not going to use, please declutter those right away. Just let them go. You're not going to use it. It's going to be fine. When you bring in your new wrapping paper, I want you to set up an area where it stays. have all the tape, have a pair of scissors, have the wrapping, the ribbons, all the things you need in one location. It'll make it so much easier for you to wrap things quickly and easily when you need them. And a quick tip, I forgot to say this when we were talking about decluttering. When you are done decorating for the holidays, as you get out all your holiday decor and you put it up and you make your house beautiful, I want you to go all out with what you have and make your home beautiful. Start with what you have. And before you do anything else, before you go shop for anything new, make sure you use up everything you have first and use up what you got. Then I want you to look in your holiday bin, and anything that you own that you didn't put out because you wanted to go buy something different, or it doesn't fit anymore with the decor, or it doesn't fit in your house, whatever it is. I don't care what the reason is that you're not using it. The fact is you are not using it. I want you to take that stuff and declutter it. Please, please, please. Do not leave stuff in the bin thinking you will use it next year if you didn't use it this year. If you didn't use it this year, you are not going to use it next year. And if you want to keep it, then get it out. Don't leave it in the bin year after year for some unknown reason. Get it out, enjoy it, use it up, okay? All right. So off that decluttering soapbox again, but I just realized I forgot to tell you that, and that is one of my most important decluttering steps at the holidays because it's so easy. It's such an easy tip. If you're not using it, let it go. Make it easy on you, right? Make the decision easy. You already decided you weren't going to use it, so let it go now. And maybe someone else will want to use it, and then it gets used and it's, out there. Our things don't want to be kept in boxes. They just don't. So now that we have gone through and we have a couple places organized, one other place I want us to organize is our kitchen. Our kitchen is the workhorse at the holidays, especially if you are going to be hosting or if you like to bake a lot. This is a time when we really can use a baking station. So if you are a baker, I want you to set up that baking station. I want you to gather your ingredients, put them somewhere. I actually have a tray that I use for our baking stuff in our pantry. And so at the holiday times, I will repurpose that tray to be all of the things I absolutely need for baking the holiday cookies or whatever other candies or things we want to make. And so that tray is so easy because I can just pop it in and out of our pantry. And what that allows me to do is it allows me to just say yeah, okay, we can do that. That's easy. I just grab the baking ingredients, I grab that baking tray, and it's much easier for us to say yes and to do the things versus getting overwhelmed, having to dig through the pantry and get all that out. So if you can organize that stuff ahead of time, it makes it easier to have these moments that you want to have over the holidays, but sometimes can just be too overwhelming because there's just too many steps involved. If you do a couple of the steps first, that's what organizing is. It makes it easier to finish out the task and actually complete it with the rest of the steps. Okay, other things you can do in your kitchen, making sure you have all the ingredients you need for the things you want to do. That's where that planning ahead step comes in deciding and setting the intention, because it makes it easier for us to make the organization list and figure out what we need in order to achieve the goals that we have. Okay. Let's move on to segment number 3, which is time management. And this part can really kind of make or break it, right? So time management, oh friend, I know that this one is a tough one, especially during the holidays. Time management is so hard for us moms any time of year, but the holidays, there is so much more to do and there's only so many hours in the day. So here's the thing. You don't have to do everything. I promise you don't have to do everything, and it will still be a magical holiday season. All right, so let's focus on making the season manageable and memorable without stretching yourself too thin. So back to that intention phase, right? I want us to think about where we listed our top holiday priorities. Now, again, I do want us to take a moment, make sure we are before, I don't really want, in our home, we don't even start, I don't break out a Christmas tree or any of our Christmas holidays decorations until after Thanksgiving. We are traveling this year for Thanksgiving. We will come back on the day after Thanksgiving, so no Black Friday shopping for us. Shocker, I know. I'm sure everyone's surprised. But then that weekend, we will be able to get out the Christmas stuff. And before that, we won't be doing any of the Christmas things, which is great. I love it. Again, this is my favorite time. So Please know that when I'm telling you to do all of this stuff, I'm not actually expecting you to do it until the end of November, but I wanted this episode to come out so people could plan for it. Because if I had this come out in December, you might already be overwhelmed because you were doing all of this stuff ahead of time. So take some time, enjoy this holiday, like this season, the season of Thanksgiving and gratitude. And then as we get into, past Thanksgiving, then the hustle bustle starts for me. And I kind of like it to be condensed and short and sweet and like go all out and then I'm done. Okay, so maybe if you're like that, then let's do this, right? Okay, so time management, we're back to that intention. We're picking the things we really wanted to do. And now we can work them in to how much time we have, because there is only so much time for everything we want to do. So once you have that list, look at what's not on the list and consider letting some of those things go. Right? So when you wrote out that giant list at the beginning, I told you to brainstorm, brain dump all the things you could do, pick your few favorites, and then sit with it and let go of those things that nobody said were a priority. I know it might be hard, but consider doing it. Give it a try. See if you can. See if by the time, if it's something that you're like, okay, I'm really nervous about letting this go. Try to go the first couple weeks of the holiday season without doing it. And then if you still really miss it, then obviously it's important to you and bring it back in. That is perfectly acceptable. But if after the first couple weeks you were like, oh, I just really thought we would miss that thing, but we don't, then fantastic, you have your answer there. And remember, you can always bring it back next year. You can always do it later too. That's okay. But here's my favorite time management tip for pretty much anything, and it is batching our tasks. So for example, let's talk about holiday shopping. I want you to aim to plan your holiday shopping list out and do it in as few trips as possible. I know. If you like shopping, this one might be difficult for you, but really shopping takes a really long time. So this is a fantastic way to get some time back. So 1 power hour where you knock out as much shopping as possible might save you from running around day after day. It's going to save you gas. It's going to save you time. It's going to save your patience, because every time I go shopping, there are so many people out. It is getting so much harder to get everything done. And so I really like if I can just be very methodical and stick to a list. Makes it way easier to stay organized and on budget. Also, consider experience gifts. Consider giving gift cards, especially if you have older nieces and nephews. Consider for a couple years now, we've done a Secret Santa exchange with the adults in the family, which has been really fun. It's nice to only have to get 1 gift instead of 8 gifts, which is such a time saver, right? It's great for our wallets. It's great for everyone's closets, and it's great for our time. And we get to pick out something that's really meaningful for one person, spend a little bit more, so you get a little bit higher quality gift versus 8 smaller gifts, you get 1 nicer gift. And we have really enjoyed that as a family. We use Elfster to set that all up, and it makes it really simple. So I'll leave a link for that in the show notes because it makes it really simple. And not sponsored by them, and there's no affiliate income there, but I just love that product. All right, and then here's the biggie. I want you to ask for help. I know it's hard to let go of things, but I want you to give yourself permission to delegate. So whether it's asking your family members to help with decorating, maybe it's dividing up the gift shopping, know that you do not have to do it alone. We are all in this together, and the holidays are so much more enjoyable when we share the load. I know that there's this martyrhood, right? I think sometimes as moms, we feel like we have to do it all, but if we can get our family involved, it's so much nicer. All right, so the next one is simplifying holiday traditions and creating memorable moments. So let's talk about those traditions. Sometimes the idea of a tradition can feel heavy. Feel like we have to do all of these things to make this holiday special. But here's the thing, you get to choose which traditions you keep and which ones you are ready to let go of. Maybe you simplify the holiday light display outside your home. Maybe you buy fewer gifts. Maybe you decide to take a trip this year. Who knows? You get to decide again what you want to keep and what you want to let go of. But take a look at your family's traditions and ask yourself which ones bring you joy, which ones feel more like chores, and maybe this is the year that you skip out on sending hundreds of holiday cards and you send out a holiday email. or maybe you simplify your gift exchange, or maybe you opt out of a white elephant gift exchange at the office if you can. You can let go of any tradition that doesn't serve you. You might feel a little bit guilty, but it's okay to prioritize yourself. Instead, I want you to consider focusing on experiences over things. I talk about this a lot, and it's because when you think back over your life, I guarantee you it is the experiences, the things you've done that have, one, made you grow more as a human being, and two, been more memorable and more fun. And they're generally the things we enjoy more over the different items we've gotten. I mean, think about when you were a kid. Do you remember all of the presents you got, or do you remember what you did and where you were and what the traditions were and who you were with and those kinds of things? So I really want us to think about that when we are having a hard time swapping out physical things for experiences. Because memories last longer than any present, and they can actually be easier on the budget too. Like a family movie night, or baking cookies, or driving around to see those holiday lights can all be simple but meaningful. Remember, what matters most is that everyone is together. We're laughing, we're enjoying each other's company, we're having a good time, we're making these memories. We come up with, my favorite thing is when we hang out together and you come up with, little inside jokes. We have a ton of inside jokes from our family travels this summer. And that's what experiences do. And you have these inside jokes that you tell later, and it builds these bonds between your family that you can all kind of go back to. And think about later, and you say these little inside jokes, and it takes you right back to when they started, and that is what creates the fun and the memories. All right, so one idea I do love having is having a holiday movie night with pajamas, hot cocoa, maybe hot apple cider, depends on what you like. You can even make adult versions, which is really nice. It doesn't have to be fancy though, but it can be and feel magical. So keep it simple and let go of the rest. Let go of needing it to be perfect. Light some candles. That can be really fun if you don't do that very often. Obviously, make sure they're safe. But lighting up candles or cuddling up under a blanket, having popcorn or having certain holiday snacks can be really fun when you're watching these movies together as a big holiday tradition. All right. The next section I want to talk about is self-care and maintaining peace throughout the season, because let's face it, mama, you are doing a lot of the heavy lifting this time of year. And so it's really important that we talk about you and we talk about maintaining your own self-care so that you can give everybody else a great holiday season as well. The holidays are meant to be joyful, but they can be a lot. So I want to remind you to carve out little pockets of time for self-care. So think about the things that recharge you, even if it's just 5 minutes here or there. It could literally be 1 minute of deep breathing, can be a wonderful moment of self-care that you can do anytime, especially when things start to get a little chaotic. You might want to think about a quiet cup of tea or coffee in the morning, a 10-minute walk outside, taking a moment to sit in a cozy corner and just enjoy the holiday lights. Whatever makes you feel calm and happy, make time for it. Maybe if you're driving home, you drive down a different street on your way home so you see different holiday light displays, right? It doesn't have to be anything crazy or difficult. It could just be one little thing that's kind of outside the norm that you do just for you, for pure enjoyment. What are the things you enjoy? Whatever it is, make sure you're making time for yourself so that you can be recharged and you're not a stress bucket. Nobody has fun when mom's all stressed out, okay? Everybody else can feel it too. And so if you're having fun, everyone else will have more fun too. And remember, it's okay to say no. You don't need to attend every event or bake every treat from scratch. The season will be special even if you do a little less, right? It is okay to do B+ work if you are generally an A+ student. It's okay to kind of let up the gas a little bit and not try to have to be over the top in everything. It's okay to let off a little of that extra pressure, because sometimes the best gift we can give ourselves is permission to rest and enjoy the season without that extra pressure. Take a deep breath, know that you're already doing an amazing job. And the best gift you can give your family this season is a version of you that's calm, happy, and present, that's actually here. So you've got this. I'm here cheering you on every step of the way. I hope I was able to give you a few tips that will make this holiday season a little less stressful, a little less overwhelming, and one that you're actually looking forward to. But I would love to hear from you. What is something you do in the holiday season? What's a tradition you love? I would love to know what tradition you love the most in this holiday season. So let me know. Leave a comment on Instagram. I'm at Wannabe Clutter Free there, or come over and join us in the Wannabe Minimalist family group on Facebook and share in the comments over there. As always, thank you so much for joining me today and making this podcast part of your weekly routine. I will see you back here next week when I'm talking with Amy Green Smith about saying no. It's a really good episode. We dive a little more into my personal life, which was interesting, but I think you will like it. It's one that's pretty raw, so I will be interested to see what you think about it. All right. Until next time, thank you so much for joining me. Keep decluttering, keep thinking clutter-free, and let go of the holidays traditions that you don't need to have in your life. Set that intention. That's really the most important part. Once you decide what's important, everything else gets so much easier. So all the way back to step one, if you can really complete that one, I think you've got this holiday season covered. All right, I'll see you back here next week. I believe in you. Have a great week. Cheers.